It's like I'm walking on sunshine.
Ho, ho, ho! All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DoomCast number 36. My name is Charlie McGrath. I'm joined by my co-host, Doug Owen. This is DoomCast, and we are happy to have you guys in here tonight. If you're in the chat room, thanks for listening live at our new site at .com. It's all set up thanks to Doug Owen. He worked his tail off. It looks absolutely fantastic. Head on over to .com and check it out now. Doug Owen.
You know what? You had me going for a second there.
You know what I did, right? You know why I'm doing that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's Doug's number 36. I was a 35, but I said I wanted to be a smart Alec. And is it Alec or Alec?
Alec. There was some kid that was named Alec that was really, really smart. He was an a-hole.
He was an a-hole. So now I'm Charlie the DB. Go ahead, take it away, Doug Owen.
Yeah, it's DoomCast number 36. My fingers are tired. We have a new website, finally.
Yeah,
I want to thank all the people that have contributed, including your sister, Craig Simpson, all of those that offered to help out, and we're going to be doing some cool stuff there. And so, really excited about that. Pretty tired. I have to say, I stayed up way too late. You did.
You and I actually spoke this week. Now, and to be fair, or to be accurate here, I don't think we discussed one topic other than the work that you were doing. And man, thank you very much. I appreciate everything you did over there. It looks fantastic. I didn't get what you were going for until you did it. And now, and I even had the conversation with Bonnie today, and I'm wrapping this up real quick because we're spending too much time talking about DoomCast.com, DoomCast, the radio program, DoomCast on Twitter. We're talking way too much time, too many things to talk about, too many topics. We got to get down to brass tacks, man. Yeah, all right, so we're moving on. DoomCast.com, fantastic work, Doug Owen. You are a technical god.
No. It's so easy now. It's really easy to do. It's just a matter of putting the hardest thing is copying and pasting. You know, that's the big deal is that once you do so many episodes, you have to get to it. You have to we're at 36 now, so that was 36 entries. And while we're giving accolades, Craig Simpson did a great job with the promo for DoomCast 35. Some great artistic angles that and still images that kind of, and you do this too. I guess that's kind of is that a certain type of YouTube video? Does that have a name? A moniker for this type?
we're going to call it the I don't know what to call it. The Doomer mix-up. It's a Doomer cat. It's a Doomer vid. That's what we're going to call it.
Man.
And you know, obviously I didn't invent this, neither did Craig. And Craig Simpson, you're the man. You know, this guy is just offering to help galore and putting together. I know that 1 minute video took him 40 minutes to put together, and you got to be committed, man, if you're gonna put that together or something like that. But check it out. It's at DoomCast.com. It's also up on the front page of WideAwakeNews.com. And I want to put the challenge out there because you know what? I know there's thousands of people downloading this. They're listening to it on YouTube. They're listening to it from one of the other formats. Look at what Craig did, and if you are so inclined, if you're technically inclined, and you want to do that, please do. We will absolutely give you props, cred, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna give you accolades to do that, and it helps spread the DoomCast. And I wanted to say this before we got rolling too deep into important topics that we can't waste any time to get to them. Doug, we got to get to them.
Yes.
Eric Holder wants me to have a bracelet to buy a gun. We got to get to these topics. All right, but first I want to say go to DoomCast, watch Craig Simpson's video. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. If he's got any other stuff to follow him on or like him on, do that. And that is going to be the reward that I want to give to people who take the time to put together something for this program. I want to if you're into amassing subscribers on YouTube or followers on Twitter or Facebook, whatever's, I want to do what we can do. If you're helping us, I want to try to help you. So, Craig, I'm going to make a promo video later on this evening or tomorrow, certainly by the weekend. You know how slow I am at getting this kind of thing done. But doing a promo video on my YouTube channel for your YouTube channel. You're sitting at about 400 subscribers or so, I think. I want to get that to 1,000 by the time we get to the next DoomCast. So thank you, Craig Simpson. You're a great guy. I appreciate everything you're doing for the program. And please go to that, check it out, subscribe to his channel, follow him wherever he wants to be followed. That's it. I'm done talking about DoomCast for the rest of the program.
I think on Google+. All right, so people are getting stabbed today. That's the big story. 16-year-old zit-faced kid went crazy with some knives, went to the belly on a couple security guards. Details are kind of sketchy. I was just looking at him and kind of catching myself up to see where the story's at.
Well, I don't even know about this, man. What?
This is huge. I want to live in the vacuum that you live in.
Seriously, I am in the Hooverville because I have no clue. You got to fill me in. I'm blind here. I'm blind.
Oh man. Well, there's a student that went on a 5-minute stabbing spree in Pennsylvania in a high school.
And who hasn't really?
Yeah. Well. Ding, ding, ding. For you, wow. Mr. Charlie McGrath.
Great timing.
So, anyway, yeah, not to make light of the situation.
I'm making light of it.
Well, it doesn't really, regardless of our commentary, it doesn't.
The stabbings happened.
Yeah, it's not going to make those people feel any better or worse. Anyway, Alex, I don't know how you say his name. It's Hribal.
HR Puffin stuff? I know him.
Hribal here, 16-year-old sophomore at Franklin Region High School in Murraysville, PA, stabbed 22 people. And,
Jesus, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He had 2 kitchen knives. This is the latest, and he just went to town. And, of course, everybody, I listened to a lot of AM talk radio today, and that was the big talking point of the day. That's what people want to talk about. And you hear this over and over again. When I was in high school back in the 60s, this never happened. We didn't have people stabbing one another.
Sorry, I got this.
So everybody, of course, and I want your thought, everybody has a reason or believes that they know why we're having these things. And I heard here's some of the arguments, the more vocal ones. Okay, we don't have God in our schools anymore. No God in schools. That's why the kids are little devils. Right. Number 2, we don't have corporal punishment. That's a big meme here, maybe more so in Texas where I live. But corporal punishment, there's no fear. Not that I necessarily want teachers hitting children with boards. But people are starting to talk about the drugs. What drugs was he on? So I think that at least people are starting to figure it out and get closer to the truth by looking at these psychotics. That's my take on it. What's yours?
Well, I have a lot of takes on it, Pierre, but let me just start by saying this. This program is the lighthearted side of Doom. So if you're offended by me joking around about this, I apologize. I cover serious stuff like this all the time, and it is not a joking matter for this kid or the people that he's shoved a knife into. But it is the basis of this program. We are looking at the lighter side of current events, and some of the crap we look at is just downright disgusting, right? So, what is the impetus behind this? There isn't, Doug Owen. How about that? There isn't an increase in mass stabbings. There's not an increase in mass shootings. In fact, it's going the other way. So the impetus is irrelevant because we don't see an increase in the number of people that are engaging in psychotic events. We just see the number, an increase in the shock value of establishment media in portraying the world we live in as a place that needs to have no guns and apparently no knives now. So it's a proven fact. It's proven through statistics, not through hyperbole or through propaganda. It's proven through actual factual numbers that mass shootings and mass killings are on a very rapid decline in the United States. So however this is spun for Murraysville, Pennsylvania for the next several days, keep that in mind. We don't have an epidemic of shooters. We don't have an epidemic of stabbers. We have an epidemic of controlled media that wants you to believe that everything you do needs to be surveilled and tracked so that you won't and your kids won't be involved in such an event. I say teach your kid to shoot and teach them how to knife fight and teach them how to have common sense enough that if on the minuscule possibility that this kind of thing happens around your child, that they know what to do, which is haul ass, get out of there, don't duck and cover, get out. So my take on what's happening is it's going to be dramatized and turned into another moment where we need more government in our face. Now,
You hit on a great point. We didn't have CNN in the 60s. We didn't have cable network news. We didn't have the internet. So when things did happen, I mean, you go back to the 60s and you realize, I think it was 67, 68, they had over 161 bombings in this country during the civil rights movement. So when you look at where we're at today, it's skewed because we see everything. We see what's happening in Murraysville, PA, whereas 20 years ago, we might get a little bit about the story, but we wouldn't be inundated. We wouldn't have all of these details. We wouldn't have, the social networking, all of his thoughts, everything that he's ever blogged, tweeted, emailed. Right. We wouldn't have his GPA. We wouldn't have instant access to every bit of his life. And then, you wouldn't have the media really glorifying these people. I mean, this is a guy that, minus stabbing a bunch of people, would never get national attention.
Yeah, has there been any fatalities in this?
I don't think so. So. Critical. I mean, he stabbed a security guard in the belly. And,
that would hurt.
Yeah, that 100 years ago, that was game over.
Well, depends on the security guard. If he's a donut chucking rent-a-cop, he might have had some protection there built in.
Yeah.
Which would be a giant layer of blubber. Never mind. That went nowhere.
Well, no payoff in that one. Thanks, Charlie McGrath.
Yeah. Well, I wanted an infographic of blubber once again to use in a video to cut up for DoomCast number 36. The drugs aspect of it, that I do believe, although again, it's probably easier to prove the other way, Doug Owen, that the medicated nation is leading to a more docile, passive nation than it is a more psychotic, murderous nation, right? So again, you got to look at stats. You don't have more people engaging in mass shootings. You have less. You have less people that are willing to stand up for themselves. It's interesting. I did my program tonight, and I had a caller. Were you listening tonight? Because sometimes I feel like you're stalking me.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
You were probably too busy working on the website of the name which I am not allowed to mention more than 100 times in a program, and I think I passed that. But I had a caller who was a 70-year-old gentleman from Michigan, right?
70?
70, yeah.
Okay.
Driving down 2,000 miles. He said that. I don't think it's that far. He said it's that far. Michigan to Nevada to another 70-year-old gentleman's ranch that is having 200 armed agents surrounding right now because they're going to evict his cattle. I'm sure you know this story.
Yeah.
But, here you have a situation where you have two senior citizens who are willing to stand up for themselves.
Weren't they eating some endangered turtles, or there was something ridiculous that was going on there? I just looked at the blurb. I'm like, really?
The Nevada spotted turtle, they were eating them like Pez.
Yeah, well, they're freaking delicious, Charlie McGrath.
Who? Yeah, come on, man. Spotted turtles are yummy. Anyway, so the point is this: we definitely have. If you want to dabble in reality and you look at our populace now, we have a more docile, feminated population, and I'm talking about the men out there. So where are you, men? That are willing to stand up for themselves. We got tonight.
Well, it looks like these hogs like beef.
Yuck. I just imagine a hog eating beef every time you play that, and it's grossing me out.
Sorry.
But where are the guys standing up? You got two 70-year-old guys here. You have a medicated nation and a mainstream establishment media that wants you to believe every time that some lunatic like this kid, who's obviously a nut, regardless if he's on Prozac or whatever he's on, there's something wrong with him if he's willing to pick up a knife and start cutting into folk. They want to glorify this, and they want you to be shocked into being docile, right? Docility. I invented a word. Docility. Docility by shockulity. That's what we got here.
They
want you to be shocked into docileness.
Yeah, it's working on me. I'm just not that shocked anymore.
Well, you sound like you're tired, buddy. I know you've been working all night on that of which we do not speak.
All night long, all night.
Okay, is this a singing program now? Because I'm out.
Okay. So I think that it brings up a greater point, and that is, people are always trying to fix something. They think that they can fix it. If we just we just did this, this would all go away. And it's like, it's much more complex than that. And the fact that you believe that it's one single issue that's causing all of this is I think, an example of just great hubris. And I hear it all day long. Oh, well, if we just did this, Doug, it would be fine. Like, yeah, well, if you think it's that simple.
Even just the NWO angle, right?
That's an oversimplified idea.
Yes, absolutely.
What would you define if somebody said, "What is the New World Order?" What would you say?
Well, that's a great question. What is it? What is it? I would say that it is a notion, a theory, not necessarily a conspiracy theory, a theory more than anything else, of a cabal of internationalists who want to dominate the planet. Now, that would be just a general, I guess, a description of what the NWO was. You would get into the workings much differently through control of energy, control of commerce, the disintegration of borders, the disintegration of sovereignty. That would be their techniques used, and technocrats being used in order to implement such an agenda. But it is absolutely, in our community, used, that label is thrown on anything and everything to cover everything. It's like blaming the Jews for everything, right? It's just simple to do. And if you don't, then then that crowd that does thinks you're some kind of shill, some kind of turncoat, some kind of, agent.
Indeed. Well, I mean, I guess people can always throw that out at you. It's an ad hominem when they don't like what you're saying or they don't agree with you. You can just say, well, you're obviously in bed with these people. You have an agenda. You are, part of some group.
Do you believe it, Doug? Do you believe there's big walnut doors somewhere that close and you got the elite families sitting together saying how they're going to dominate and control and what war they're going to start next? I mean, is that true? Is that happening?
I don't think it's quite that simple. No, I mean, it's not. I don't think that the Illuminati goes to a castle at Bilderberg and they all get together and they come up with a plan for world domination, and that always comes to fruition if that's what
You know what I view it as? A giant. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it was defined by George Herbert Walker Bush back in 1991, talking about a new world order, the 1,000 points of light speech. If you haven't heard it out there, you should just Google that, find you the 1,000 points of light, and you'll see that reference used over and over again. But the idea that the United Nations would be the central focus for global government. We have World Court, we have World Government, we have The Hague. So we have these institutions, and you hear them becoming more relevant, or at least I think either I'm just getting more into geopolitics or these kind of topics and issues because of international globalism are becoming much closer to us. But you have these fine examples. Look at the Ukraine. One of the things that Barack Obama said was that what we did in the Ukraine was okay, or in Iraq was okay because we went to the international court, the United Nations basically, or not the court, but the United Nations had consensus, and we had a global agreement. So they went to global government. That's the New World Order, and they decided, okay, for Libya, that's fine. For Iraq, that's fine. But because Vladimir Putin and the Russians didn't get approval from the UN Security Council, that is a rogue action, that is all of the things that they are levying against the Russians, right, left, up, down, indifferent. And that's where I fall really on what's happening in Crimea. But it shows you that system and them trying to give it credence. So when you talk about the New World Order, I mean, it's not to say – see, I think the problem is it gets that whole, silly moniker of, well, this – because you think about the Marble Door, the Brotherhood of the Bell, you start talking about the Chatham House, Brookings Institute. I mean, I think that's where global government happens. At Davos, at the International Crisis Group, at Brookings, Chatham House. Those are a bunch of the think tanks that come up with these plans. And mostly it's because they work with Fortune 500 companies. And when you're developing and with foreign policy, you have to have the the economic hitmen. You have to have the companies that are going to be there to benefit. Case in point, Ukraine, you have Chevron and Fracademia. So, I mean, it's just one example. So, but that's not nearly as cool or fun, and it's not nearly as sexy and scary as maybe the Luciferian aspect. But I do think that there's a lot of, Stanley Kubrick, eyes wide shut stuff going on, creepy old men sex and slaves and,
Deactivated our trauma.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry. I don't know what happened there.
There's a creepy dude in the background talking there.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know what that was, but I'll fix that. No, I agree that everything you just said there, everything that you just talked about, this big kind of overview-y looking at what the NWO is and the different tentacles that it might have. That is truly, I think, the picture that we should be carrying around of what it is. A big, big machine that has a lot of complex moving parts, but is pushing towards one goal, and that is global governance. And that, I guess, would be the best definition. After listening to you talk and every time to think on the question for a minute, that would be the quick, concise, to the point. What is the NWO? It is a global government. And if you ask me, who is the driving, motivating factor, the true power behind that? It isn't the United Nations. It isn't any singular government, or any government for that matter. It is bankers. Bankers are the driving force. And I'm not talking your mom and pop regional. I'm talking the big boys that make up the ownership of central banks. They are the impetus behind the NWO. Jean-Claude Trichet, the head of the European Financial Stability Mechanism and the king technocrat of Europe, said it in 2008. We need global financial governance. Tim Geithner has said we need more global financial governance. They're going to achieve this goal of NWO, global government, through the pocketbook. More so than they're going to through the barrel of a gun. That doesn't mean we won't have global war if players like Russia or some other country stands up and says enough of this, and they're going to do things that the rest of the NWO sanctioned world is doing. We could certainly end up in some kind of a very, very hot situation. But, NWO, global governance, done through the pocketbook, run by bankers, and everything else falls under that category. Every other corporate special interest falls under the banker umbrella because, Goldman Sachs is driving the events, I believe, at least in a lot of these multinational corporations that don't have a bank behind them, like ExxonMobil and like, these other companies that we talk about quite often.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he bragged about bailing out Spain, and they'd been doing business with Spain for over 100 years. And I'm like, okay, that's a lot of really bad people. Franco, okay, yeah. I'm looking back through the last, up to the 1970s, even to the 1980s. I'm like, So you gave a lot of money to a lot of creeps that did a lot of really bad stuff that were given immunity and still probably get preferential treatment at the derivatives desk. But, I think that is one big aspect to it. Of course, you probably heard, and if you haven't, if you've been in a convenient vacuum like Charlie McGrath.
Yes, I am.
State Department lost. The State Department cannot account for $6 billion. So this takes me into a long tangent here. Do we have people that we should thank before we get into? I've got some conspiracy stuff to rival the economic crash, because there's two thoughts here.
Sorry,
is that the bell?
That's your bell. I'm agreeing with you. I'm slowing the bell.
I'm slowing the bell.
Yeah.
So do we have any people to thank, or should we talk about the model? Should we?
Do you? I want to talk about the no.
I was talking about donations or people other than Craig. Other than
the Craigslist. No, yeah, we need to talk about it, but let's move it down a little bit because I want to go off on the vacuum. I want to go off on this lost money. Okay. And I want to explain. Do you want me to explain why I'm in a vacuum today, or is that
no? I just over the weekend I was fortunate enough to go to one of my favorite websites. Are you familiar with Cryptagon.com?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
very much so.
Cryptagon is one of these great websites. If you're not familiar, go there, subscribe to the RSS. He has a lot of really good stuff that he posts, and it's very infrequent, but the stuff that he posts is choice. So he has this YouTube video from a YouTube journalist called Dark Journalist. Are you familiar with Dark Journalist? He does YouTube. Okay.
No, I'm not.
All right. So a quick plug for him. He's not in Charlie McGrath land, but he's got a few people. I don't know how many subscribers he has, but I subscribe to him. It's Dark Journalist. He had an economist, Catherine Austin Fitts. You familiar with her?
Very well. Talked to her a couple times.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she is a proponent, and she has been postulating this idea of slow burn. Okay? So her idea, and by her accounting, by the numbers, this is what she is putting out in this video, and I'll just give you the link, and when we put up the podcast tonight, we'll have it conveniently there for you at blacklistedradio.com.
Or DoomCast.com.
I mean, DoomCast.com. I'm sorry. Yeah. So anyway, he had this video of this interview, and here's the headline. I was like, okay, I'm going to waste a good half of Saturday morning listening to this. Catherine Austin Fitts, the UFO economy. So she says that the $2.3 trillion that's missing from the Pentagon that we forgot about on
I thought it was
September.
more than that, but go ahead.
I think that's actually a very conservative number. There's another $1.2 trillion, according to some people, that is unaccounted for. So the takeaway is that Hillary and Donald Rumsfeld are both using this same claim that the money wasn't stolen, okay? It hasn't gone awry. It's just that we cannot track it. It was all petty cash. So that's an interesting thought, but literally, she says that with this kind of money coming out of the Pentagon, that you would have to have tons of weaponry, that you would have some of the most high-tech stuff, period, in the world, and that would be used, since the economy is a weapon, you mentioned that, we would have something just as high-tech as the X-37B in the economic world, and that most of this is being used as a way to cover for this massive military buildup that is, the craziest technology that we've ever seen. But basically that the economy will not collapse, that we will not have a collapse, that it will be a slow burn, a calculated slow burn to depopulate the planet because of, and she even thinks that it might not be as, I think it's malevolent because you have people controlling, other people, in high positions. But, I mean,
Yep.
she's a whistleblower that's gone to, at least according to her, to many meetings, and she does this practice where she puts scenarios forward. She does some scenario
Wargaming.
Yeah, wargaming, yeah, exactly. And for the State Department. She did a lot of that in the 80s. Really compelling argument for where she thinks things are going. And when you think about it, I mean, I think that a lot of people think that Ben Bernanke and the faces that we see, and not the owners of the Federal Reserve, but some of the lackeys and the academics that put their seal on a lot of these policies are just these complete idiots. Ben Bernanke, he just prints money. What an idiot! What a dope! But she said that there's something much bigger, and that this is the real economy. The real economy is so much bigger. And ultimately, I mean, she gets into chemtrails, talking about, when you look at chemtrails, the phenomena is global. So either everybody agrees, all of these countries agree, all of these politicians agree that this needs to be secret and needs to be done, or somebody has the Death Star. Somebody has the big weapon, and they're forcing everybody behind the scenes to spray chemtrails across the nation.
I don't know about that.
But I mean,
again,
but it's
wait a minute. Again, not to cut you off and be rude, but I just was.
That's okay.
Again, bankers. It falls under bankers. You don't need Germany to sign off on chemtrails. You don't need Spain to do it, or Portugal, or some country in South America to do it. You don't. You need the corporations that own the planes, right, to buy the fuel. That is where the chemtrail would get its mandate or get its permission from a banker that controls the finances of an airline company, or more importantly, in this case, would be a fuel Exxon or one of the other.
I have to be argumentative. I have to retort here.
Do it, because I kind of stumbled. Go ahead.
I think it's kind of dangerous to be a banker. Those guys end up dead all the time. I mean, I think that, yeah, they're pretty important because they help launder the money, but they're pretty expendable. They're dying left and right, my friends.
Every time you hear a bell ring, a banker plummets from the 33rd floor.
Oh, yeah, of the J.P. Morgan bank.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, though, do you need a global government conspiracy? No, you need a global government. You need the global governments to be controlled by financial institutions and their central banks. Mm-hmm. That's what. If you have them controlled by, look, we bomb the hell and kill people every single day around this planet with drones. We don't have permission from these countries. We just do it, right? So if they're pumping stuff into the air, they absolutely can get this done. Without some big vast conspiracy, they'll just do it. They'll put it into the fuel. They'll put it in to the planes. They'll do whatever they want to do and just walk away from it. Because
it's not that it's a conspiracy. I mean, I guess the point is, I guess technically it is because you have people conspiring, and that's what consensus usually points to when you have anything that's done. You know, when you have Russia working on the space station with NASA, and they're putting a weapon in space, maybe a mass driver. Who knows what's out there, right?
A what? A mass driver?
A mass driver. Directed energy weapons.
You're so smart, Doug Owen.
Oh, come on now.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what? Google it. Google a mass driver.
I will later. No. All
right. Well, anyway, it's just a lot of high-tech stuff that the government has developed, and we don't know if they've put it out there.
I mean, it could be. You could be right. I mean, I make the argument weekly, if not nightly, in some form or another, that when the cameras are off and the left and the right in Washington D.C. aren't playing the left and the right game, and the cameras are off and the marble/walnut doors are closed, then they're playing for the same team. So I guess the argument could extrapolate out to global, right? Where you have the governments when their doors are closed, you have Putin calling Obama saying, "Hey, I'm going to step a little bit further north into Ukraine, and we'll get a hot war going." I mean, I suppose.
I don't think there's a conspiracy everywhere. I mean, there's definitely different players. I mean, people are independent. At the end of the day, that's what happens. You have people that make independent decisions in their own best interest. Maybe not in the best interest, no matter how educated and how academic they may be. That doesn't mean that they necessarily, at the end of the day, will make that choice. And I think that if you get closer and closer and closer to something like a new world order that we're already moving into, but into that world, that utopia, if this idea doesn't sound utopic at all to me, but as you move closer, you're going to have more people that are going to jump off board. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Right, and if you didn't have people that thought you were a shill before, or they were on the fence, now they think you are.
I mean, we're not at the point where we have to all have Kim Jong-un's haircut yet. I mean, we're not there. We're on our way. We're on our way. I mean, that's I think that when you look at what's the worst, right? What's the worst thing that could happen? Global enslavement, killing everybody.
I think the worst thing that could happen, honestly, from now, this is all seriousness now. Stop it, Owen. I'm trying to be serious now. Okay. I think something along the lines of the Georgia Guidestones could happen. And I just had Warren Pollock on, who is every bit as smart as anybody I've ever met, including Fitz and anybody I've ever talked to on radio.
More about the Georgia Guidestones? Come on.
Yeah. No, he wasn't talking about the Georgia Guidestones, but he was talking about the crisis that's going to shift from a financial crisis to a political crisis globally, and what is going to be the driver behind that. And his theory, and he's very, very cerebral, right? He's looking back 500 years, where I'm looking at the collapse of 2008, and it's the notion that the planet is going to, instead of Agenda 21, we're going to end up just at the 21. Not really an agenda, other than the planet cannot. Now, don't freak out, listeners. Don't freak out by this, because I know that it's hyped. Global overpopulation, global warming. I know it's rigged and fixed. I know it. I know it because people make money on it at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange betting on the weather. So I know it's fixed. So don't send me the nasty emails, but just listen to this out. Instead of Agenda 21, it's just going to be 21. An Earth cannot sustain 7 billion people. that is not, here's the part that's going to bail me out of nasty emails, that is not currently energized the way it is now. We can't have a container of roofing underlayment ship 15,000 miles away and be cheaper to buy in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, than if it was produced a block away. We can't continue with a planet, with an economic and a political system the way it is, based on energy, because everything is based on energy. Money is energy. When we talk about when we have,
you sound like a communist. You don't want a free market, Charlie McGrath.
Well, there's no such thing as a free market on this planet Earth that we have today. So
those Chinese people have a right to work themselves out of slavery into the middle class. What do you think about that? That's what my dad says. What do you think will happen with all those Chinese people become middle class? And I'm just like,
take a trip, Dad. Take a trip to China.
Middle class? What the hell is that anymore? I don't even know. I know that.
Take a little stroll about 100 kilometers outside of any major Chinese city that you get to see at the Olympics time, Beijing in this case, and then you'll see how close they are to the middle class. They're a long way from it, But as the middle class in this country comes down, it's going to look more and more of the same. They're like, they're going to believe, and maybe they will attain the American dream. Oh my God, I'm getting good with that.
Do you actually have a gong over there? What are you hitting?
That's a bell ding sound effect from YouTube. You can get anything on YouTube, Doug Owen.
I know, it's loud. It's good though.
Oh, sorry. Can I play something else that's loud and obnoxious?
If you must. I could play some Seymour Hersh talking about the false flags, but you might have something more irritating than him.
I do, absolutely. Here we go.
I mean, I think that one of the things that we learned when we were trying to get past those common sense reforms last year, Vice President Biden and I had a meeting with a group of technology people and talked about how guns can be made more safe by making them either through fingerprint identification, the gun talks to a bracelet or something that you might wear, how guns can be used only by the person who is lawfully in possession of the weapon. So it's those kinds of things that I think we want to try to explore so that we can make sure that people have the ability to enjoy their Second Amendment rights while at the same time decreasing the misuse of weapons that lead to the kinds of things that we see on a daily basis, where people, kids especially, are struck down by.
That's something much more frightening to me, which is Eric Holder, our current Attorney General, talking about how to safify the Second Amendment, how to safify it up a little bit.
This is nothing new out of Eric Holder. Can I one-up you?
Yep.
We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Now, that's from the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, so this to me this horrifies me, Doug, because you know that I'm a little bit into guns, right?
Yeah, I was gonna acapella. Charlie's got a gun, do 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 do. I was gonna do that, but I didn't have time. So, because we have a segment because it seems that every week your arsenal is expanding. You have more arrows in your quiver.
What a funny coincidence! And ladies and gentlemen, I need to let y'all know that I swear to you, I give you my word that Doug and I we never speak about weaponry outside of this program. But no. I acquired a bow this week.
A bow. How many?
It was absolutely free.
What kind of bow? Where did you buy it? What color is it? What have you killed with it?
Well, okay, all right. Let's start. I've killed some time with it. Is about it. I'm not a bow hunter. I'm going to go out and say that right now. Now, I've trained on a bow before, only because I grew up in Montana and a lot of friends were bow hunters. So I know how to shoot one. I know how to sight it in. I know the basics on it. It's wrapped up in a case in my bedroom right now because it was given to me by my brother because it was given to him by an in-law, and he didn't know what else to do with it. And he asked me if I wanted it, and of course. It is a weapon, so of course I want it. And so there's probably a video coming in the future of me trying to whip a stick, 20 yards into a target. But I can't even tell you the brand name of it now. I think. Gets a 50-pound draw, though. That's
Oh, man, Skype has stopped working. Oh, what is this? Why? Why have you done this to me, Skype? Really? Problem caused. That's. You know what? That's radio, baby. If this is live, we just have to start going through and plugging some stuff. You can go to Twitter, and you can follow the DoomCast Show. Charlie's been saying it wrong. It's actually DoomCast Show, not the DoomCast Show. But if you just put it into Google, you'll find it just fine. Or some other search engine. Give us credit. I mean, if you go through Google, CIA is gonna, or excuse me, the NSA is gonna know, and they'll listen to the show more. Come on, Charlie. Oh, my other phone's going crazy. He's probably just going off. Blah, 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 blah. Charlie, are you there? Pick up your phone. Dang it, I might actually have to chop this out of the show. As soon as it starts getting good. Bill Gates does not like it. Come on. Yo, call me. Call me.
Hey, Doug Owen.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. It's Charlie McGrath, WideAwakeNews.com, DoomCast.com.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. Apparently, you talk about Eric Holder and weapons, and you get to enjoy a little hiccup in your internet.
Thank you, Bill Gates. No, I don't think it was my internet. I think Skype
no,
was crashed.
Me. It was me. My internet went down completely.
Oh, did it? Mine actually said Skype has stopped working. So maybe somebody hit your ISP and they hit my Skype. I can only hope, and that's what I was saying. If it's the government's actually taking us down, well, I guess we're
having an effect.
Nah, I don't think so.
Ask Craig Simpson; he'll tell you.
Well, I'm sure that they have some interesting information on us.
Well, yeah. What did you hear? I mean, I got to...
All right, so you got to the 50-pound, and I was like, "Ooh, what a draw!" And you said you didn't know what brand name it was, and you faded away.
Yeah. It was a gift. It was a gift from my brother. A gift given to him by an in-law, gave to me, and I'll get to learn how to use it because why not? It was a free gift, and I don't have one, so now I do.
You can poach with a bow really easy.
They're pretty quiet.
Very quiet.
That's my bow sound.
I got something here. Not
like
quite a bow.
Ninja. Are you a bow hunter, Owen?
No, man. No. I actually used to do a lot of bow fishing for like alligator gar.
Oh, yeah.
Got a Zebco. It's basically a crossbow with a Zebco.
Are you in that part of, I guess, Austin? You have alligator gar in your muddy little creeks around there?
Mm-hmm.
Those are giant fish with massive teeth.
The Japanese like them. They think that they're cool, and they actually put those things in these huge aquariums and pay top dollar. Like, we're talking like $15,000 to get an alligator gar shipped to Japan.
Wow.
Oddly enough. Well, you were talking about Agenda 21. I just wanted to mention beef prices for a moment.
High.
Record high. People are really upset about this because I think that this is what you have when you have the revolt of the plebs. This is what the majority of the populace faced during the days of kings and knights. The poor people like you and I, Charlie McGrath, we didn't get to eat meat. Okay, so we weren't as strong, and you actually had the a kind of a subspecies of human because they didn't get the same animal protein. Now I know that with modern technology and all of the wonderful things that we have, like gluten and hybridized GMO foods,
right?
We should have these same problems. Wink, wink. But I think it's pretty sad that we cannot realize the what things really cost without being subsidized and without the big agra completely subsidized. It costs a lot. It costs a lot. When you go to Burger King and you get a burger, okay, that's not a burger. If that was actually burger, that thing would cost you $20. Nah, maybe not that much, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, it would cost you a lot more. So I think we're kind of gonna see something like that And you're already seeing that, I mean, with people that obesity, because they're just eating pure garbage, junk food. They're eating, whatever fast food chain it is 3 times a day. And those people, that's why I think a lot of cops are just really, that's why they're so obese and so angry. It's because you're eating Whataburger 5 times a day. I mean, you're eating in your car. You're eating crap. You're eating in Denny's.
Truckers fall into that trap as well. I know a lot of them. I mean, we have a lot of them that work for us, and if you try to have if you try to make your diet what's readily available on the expressway, man, you better have a very keen workout program, or you're going to be obese. You cannot, you just cannot partake in fast food on a regular basis and then try to maintain some kind of health. But the whole beef being subsidized, the whole corn industry, or big pharma being subsidized, it goes a lot deeper than that.
It's inflation. I mean, that's really what it comes down to for a lot of this. I mean, it's $5.28 a pound. It's moving up from $4.91. But I see nobody's talking about gas. Gas is I was looking at some of the pumps here in Texas, and regular was going for $3.55. I know all of you.
Is that high there?
Yeah, it's high here.
Oh, right.
For regular. I mean, you can pay a lot for premium. It's probably over $4. I don't have one of those fancy cars that requires that. No.
Mine runs on love.
Did you buy it from Al Gore?
I did.
It's an Agenda 21 meeting there, shill?
Yeah, it's an Al Gore-iac, and it runs on love.
But I mean, when you look at what it costs today, and I know people that produce, we really don't. I was talking last DoomCast about the cattle that we have, and it's like, they're not. We have some Brangus. So, I mean, there's some decent, meat cows that you can eat, but mostly, they're just
well, Doug, it's more
grazing.
reason when you should. It's more reason you should be out there thumping them alligator gar with your Zebco bow.
Yeah.
Because that's. I mean, if you really want to, I'm fortunate, and you might be too. Austin, Texas. I'm fortunate that I know the rancher. I can go buy a quarter beef of beef and know the rancher. I personally know him because I've sold him material because he owns a lumber yard. As well, so I've known him for years. I know what I'm eating. I know what I'm buying. But in lieu of that, I think your only safe option is to go out and harvest the animal yourself. But unfortunately,
do you harvest animals? Is that how it works?
I haven't harvested an animal.
Come here, animal. I will harvest you.
Come here. You want to die, don't you? That's what they want to be harvested. No, I haven't went out and hunted. For many, many years, although, my kid right now is in hunter safety because he's at that age and he has an interest in it. So I most certainly will be this year. But I do buy my meat from where I know the source, where I know how it was raised and what it was fed and what it was jabbed into it. But if you don't have that kind of a supply chain guarantee, then you're pretty much left to going out and killing something and eating it.
I mean, I'd say 80% of the people in this country don't have that kind of access. You just don't have it in a lot of places. I mean, where we live is very crunchy. I mean, Whole Foods, you got farmers markets. Not to say that there aren't those places all over the nation, and they're gaining popularity, tenfold. I mean, the resurgence of people caring about their food, and people get more interested as it gets more and more expensive. When people are paying $5.28 a pound, I mean, think about this. That is a pound of beef when it actually, without all the water, I mean, that's a half pound. That's $2.25 just for the piece of meat on your burger. And you see it now. I mean, I recently went to Whataburger and got a burger there. It was like almost $10. And you're like, wow.
Is that a real place? Whataburger?
Whataburger.
Okay. Yeah,
Whataburger.
We don't have that. I've never heard of it.
Oh man. So if you're gonna eat fast food, not too shabby. Not too shabby. They're all over Texas and down the eastern seaboard, or the south coast, down into Florida, rather. And
I am, as far as protein, I am a big fish fan. I love fish. I'm terrified to eat anything that comes out of the ocean now because of Fukushima and Gulf oil spill, and who knows what else is happening. I'm scared to buy anything that isn't local.
It's all right. Just get a good workout routine. You can just work all that stuff right on out of you.
Get that cesium right on out of you.
Oh, man. I was talking to this guy who is a physicist. He's a doctor, and he was talking about, what's coming out of Fukushima. And I said, well, should you really be concerned when it's a 1 trillionth, a 1 billionth particle? He's like, oh, yeah, if they're alpha radiation, you should definitely worry about it, but there's nothing you can do about it. So it's just like, well, just like there's measurable plastic in all of our bodies. I mean, we all have bisphenol A in us. Like, you can actually take our blood, and, it's what it is. Welcome to the age of plastic. Now, some people would say, well, Doug, the pragmatist, comes out. Well, look, we're living longer than we've ever lived with plastic in our bodies. How great is that? Look at Joan Rivers. She's got a lot of plastic in her face. And you're like, well, I guess, see that? But when we didn't, we only lived to be 35 years old. So maybe the plastic's helping us. I got one of these contrarian friends that he's always, maybe the vaccines are great for you. I'm like, no, they're not. Well, how do you know? Yeah, anyway.
Well, but it's a legitimate. I sound like your contrarian friend. It is a legitimate argument. I mean, we do live allegedly longer than we did in generations past, and it goes back to
because life sucked because we didn't have any technology, because we didn't have electricity, because we didn't sit in the AC, and
well, and it goes to
a certain point.
It goes to discussion. Oh, okay, what?
No, we got a delay there. I was just going to say that. I mean, for people that just never do any kind of physical activity, of course, we're seeing the consequences of that as well.
And we've had the discussion before, Doug, where we've talked about pharmaceuticals and how, yes, there's ample evidence to prove that it's all about getting you on something because you are literally an ATM machine at that point. But there, we've had the discussion and both agree, I believe, that there's with technology and advancements. With the pumping of drugs, there are drugs that have and things that have happened through technology and pharmaceuticals that do, for better or worse, keep people alive. When in the days of yore, they would have been 6 feet under.
Oh, absolutely. You got a lot more problems today than we did yesteryear. I think as far as. Well, I mean, we have a huge population, so you're closer to a lot more people. We're going to share a lot more germs, and the fact that that we don't have Ebola all the time, and that we don't have plagues wiping us out. And
Jeff Rentz is convinced that, and I agree with him, that with the decimation of the ability of antibiotics to do their job, we are just, and it isn't just Jeff. He talks about this on occasion, but we are just one. Superbug away from some kind of really, really dramatic Hollywood thriller type event.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what the guy was saying. His name's Mike Wolfsey. I should give him proper credit, and his product is cool. It's called C-Panel, and he designed it, and it distills water. So you can put seawater, you can actually put salt water, and it actually reduces everything. So it's a different system altogether. It's not like a filter. But anyway, point being is that you were talking
did you lose it? Let me.
No, I remember exactly what it was. It's that we have reasonably clean water. He's like, you probably get dysentery all the time, and we were talking about tubing in the Guadalupe River. He's like, you probably get dysentery because there's so many people that are defecating in the water. Difference is, you go home, you drink a measurable amount of chlorine in your water. It kills everything that you have going through your system because you have access to decent water. Whereas somebody in Haiti gets that and they die because of diarrhea. So,
sure. Yeah. Look at all the people that died building the Panama Canal just because of that reason, right?
Sure.
Thousands. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the negative aspect of a lot of things that happen in the name of helping us isn't there. So, and it most certainly is. But as
antibiotics
I sit here,
are a big deal. Super bugs, super gonorrhea. I mean, there's a lot of things that are uncurable. I mean, you get the super gonorrhea, and that's a real thing.
It's in New York. You told me about it last week. I learned things with you, Doug Owen.
Yeah. It's a big problem. Yeah. So, but there's other things that they're looking at that they're saying are going to be replacing antibiotics, when that's going to be on the market, and how much you're going to pay for them, or whether or not you can get nano scrubbers. But they've come up with some pretty cool stuff, like this nanomaterial that actually doesn't let bacteria adhere to it. So basically, like, you have a regular surface in your kitchen, right?
Yeah.
HIV, bacteria, whatever. It can grow on it and live there. Now, it's staph. Staph's everywhere anyway. But you
Staphylococcus.
Yeah, I mean, we live in one of the biggest problems I think that we have is that we have too much hand sanitizers, and people aren't getting proper amounts of bacteria anymore. But point being is that you have that everywhere, and it sits and resides mostly on flat, level surfaces.
Sure.
So if you can create a nanomaterial, and they already have these nanomaterials, that doesn't allow bacteria to adhere to it, it's like you're practically disinfecting the world.
Yeah.
All material.
Well, I think we've had that for a while. It's called silver.
Well, that's why.
Drink it. It's a colloidal silver.
I don't do that. I know people that do, and
Me too.
Breathe it, inhale it, and have vaporizers. Yeah.
Listen, and I'm saying that because it's true. Silver will not support the growth of bacteria. That's why medical instruments, in a lot of cases, are plated in silver because of that benefit of the white metal, I guess we'll call it.
It's an antiseptic property. That's why they put it in teeth, amalgams, and the like as well.
Exactly. But when it comes to and Diane Everett Snyder, host on Wide Awake News Radio, sent me colloidal silver to help fight infection, all that stuff. And I took it. I don't know if it went away, but I don't know if it would have or without it. I know there's people that live by it. I know there's people that think you're nuts for doing it. And I know there's a guy who died, blue as a Smurf. But I mean, that
but the
obviously
guy was making his own, and he was, I mean, my wife actually is a big fan of Super Silver, and
is that a colloidal style
silver? And we had a buddy that got hit in the head. He was messing around.
You told me this story. Go ahead.
Yeah, he got hit in the head with a wrench. He's a mechanic. He works on transmissions, and of course, he and his buddy are roughhousing. They're just talking crap, and ends up getting hit in the head at this shop.
As these situations often lead to, a wrench was flying through the air.
Right, exactly. And these guys are 30-something, and you'd expect it from 15-year-olds or high schoolers, but
right.
Nonetheless, he had this huge freaking gash, and my wife's like, let me put the Super Silver on there. She put the Super Silver on it for 2 weeks. No scar, nothing. It just, I mean, it didn't look like anything. And we're talking about a big gash. I'm deep. I mean, it needed stitches, and he didn't go and get them. He's like, I don't have any medical insurance, and I don't want to have to. Well, when you get hurt on the job, they want you to pee in a cup, and you have to go and basically do an interview with
and getting more so. But the Super Silver cured the guy up, no scar. Back to tossing wrenches now.
Yeah,
reckless abandon.
That's anecdotal evidence, but I was really impressed. So.
Yeah, there you go. I have had, I don't know how many countless people on the program talking about just that, the miracle properties of colloidal silver and its ability to do miraculous things, and I have no reason to doubt it.
Yeah. Do you think it's weird that the UN actually goes to Tennessee to monitor their elections?
Yep. I do think it's weird. I think it's weird that we're involved with the UN altogether, but especially that they're monitoring their elections. But please, break down the story for the Doomer audience.
Well, I just saw this today, and Tennessee wants to ban the UN from monitoring its elections. I can only imagine, the kind of platform that some
you're running on.
Yeah. The UN is here. Because there's plenty of people that listen to this show that probably think the UN is, as far as institutions, it's one of the most deplorable, and I'm not a big fan. There's lots of people that think that the UN is going to invade the U.S. along with the Russians that are with the Chinese hanging out on the Mexican border. Some of those stories,
or in Idaho.
Yeah. They have the blue Jeeps that are hanging out in the forests, but there are plenty of those. I actually saw some UN Jeeps on the back of a flatbed where they were going. I could tell you that they were going south on IH-35 6 months ago. Who knows? But that's even an even more grand conspiracy that there's thousands of people that are just waiting to, attack. Although, the government just recently said that there's a bunch of Saudi sleeper cells, Al-Qaeda sleeper cells all over the United States. So they're always out there. There's a lot of boogeymen, and the UN it's an easy softball target for right-wing politicians. And so let me see. When you think of the type of countries that the UN goes to, of course, Libya, Afghanistan, but newly democratized countries aren't the only subjects of the UN election oversight. In 2002, civil rights groups voiced their concern that the UN and the state voter ID laws were being used to suppress voters in this country. So they actually sent the UN 44 of their election monitors. And, this all goes back to, I think, the illegal immigration and that's going to be, the biggest, it's going to be a big platform. I mean, they're already ramping it up. And, it's always about the compromise, the DREAM Act, and getting the illegal immigrants on the books so that it's, a political football, to say the least.
And both sides want it. Both sides want it. Don't kid yourself and think that there's a pro and an anti immigration party. I mean, it's just like everything else, red and blue. They both are not in any big rush to shut down the influx or the flow of very, very cheap labor coming into this country.
Yeah. My only point is that if you continue, we should take care of the people that work here, and
Absolutely.
If you're working here, you shouldn't be just a slave. And that's always been my point, is that these people are being exploited, okay? And people get angry at the victims. Always. It's you for taking on too much debt and you didn't know any better. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't have. But at the end of the day, the risk was on the bank. They should have realized this guy's an idiot. Ultimately, they're the smart people that have degrees. When you're giving Juan Julio a $500,000 mortgage in San Diego, and he's working temporary as a landscaper. Who's really to blame for that kind of ridiculousness? But my point being is that, and I'm not for amnesty. I think that it's a misnomer, and it's not going to change anything. You're not going to have a border solution, and that's always the compromise. The political football falls short, and you're going to get a more militarized border in Canada. That's that's the kind of ridiculous result of all of it. Okay, we're going to give Lockheed Martin $700 million to build a biometric border fence, and 80-year-old illegal immigrants are flying their middle finger to the thing and just walking into America. Yeah, we're secure, everybody.
You crack me up, Owen. Ironically enough, let's see, this is 36, so DoomCast 38. I will be. That'll be a Wednesday more than likely. I will be broadcasting from Edmonton, Alberta. So if we have any Doomcasters or Doomers in Edmonton or BC, I'll be in both parts. I'll be in BC as well as Alberta for that week. So if you're a Doomer and you're a Canadian Doomer, and you are in, namely, Edmonton, because I do believe that's where I'll be when we do Doomcast number 38, let me know. info@wideawakenews.com, or let Doug know at whatever Doug's email address is, which I think is doug@blacklistednews.com, and we'll try to arrange a hey, hello, how are ya, and have a good Canadian beer, maybe, perhaps. But
a little blue, a little meetup. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and since I'm going to be, as you well know, I'm constantly not here. I might as well, try to get out and meet the Doomers out there. If they're all like Craig Simpson, I'll be, tickled.
We got a lot of Canadians. Canadian people like freedom.
Yeah,
period.
they do. They really do. That's a fact.
Yeah. Well, in their country, when you get socialized healthcare, you actually get socialized healthcare. You don't just get screwed by the insurance company. So, I mean, if you're
I know, and it absolutely, it's ridiculous to me. And I get in literally, almost physical altercations with friends that live in the red state that I do when we go down this road, because it's on the topic of Juan Julio and his mortgage that you're talking about, inevitably the argument comes up with Juan Julio and the family on some kind of dole from government, welfare, whatever, fill in the blank. And then you can extrapolate the Canadian experiment, because that's going to come up in the argument as well, as, look at the socialized medicine that Canada has. And I want to say to them, spoken just like Bill O'Reilly or Sean Hannity, and just like you're supposed to regurgitate. But the fact of the matter is, you want to focus on Juan Julio, and you want to focus on his kids that are getting some kind of welfare or Medicaid or Medicare, whatever the case is. But you don't want to focus on the fact that your investments are only doing good because of massive corporate welfare and truly stealing of your financial future, which happens every single day. And there's not even the docket doesn't have any check mark on it to talk about repealing these kind of outrageous welfare programs that truly are bankrupting this country. It's always about, as you said a minute ago, blaming the victim. That doesn't mean I'm for rampant free healthcare for everybody or rampant free, whatever. I think everybody needs to work to pay their way and be responsible for their own selves. But I don't want to look at the gnat and not pay attention to the ass of the bull that it's sitting on, which is this corruption between corporate special interest and government.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, ultimately, we want the free market for the poor people, and we want socialism for the rich, and that's what we have today. I mean, you have socialized richness, and
that's exactly right. Socialized. We have socialized failure, right? And we have private richness. There you go.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and nobody minds when they don't want to pay somebody a decent wage to do a job, so then they get upset that people that make no money end up somehow on welfare, and I'm like, well, maybe if you just weren't such a cheap person.
Well, or the same person talking free markets and rolling into Walmart so they can buy their Chinese made goods, and that is even cliche now, isn't it, Doug? I mean, nobody talks about that crap anymore. I mean, I'm 44 years old. I remember talking about China and, Chinese-made product and the horrific notion that, these things are made in China. 5 out of 10 things you find in the store. Now it's 100%, and nobody even talks about it. Nobody even, it's just we're so immersed in globalism, and we're so immersed in using another nationality to do our labor, to do the jobs we don't want to do. It's now part of somehow shipping crap around the world and using slave labor to do it is part of free market capitalism. Somehow this is part of the American dream now.
Oil and slave labor, my friend. That's why it's good to be an American. It really is, because you get
for now.
Yeah, well, we get iPhones. Poor people in other countries don't have iPhones. Okay, poor people in other countries don't.
They got Samsungs.
Oh, they got Motorola's or
version
1 Blackberries, Palm Pilots.
Oh, the version 1 Blackberries were so hideous. Big.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought I needed one of those. This is going to get my life together. Yeah, what a ridiculous notion that was. I thought the Palm Pilot was going to organize my life. I was an idiot.
Yeah, it's got to be Doug. The organization's got to come within, Doug Owen, from within.
You got to get out of here. You got to go pick up your little doomer here in a moment.
Well, I kind of fibbed on the time a little bit. I always give myself an extra 10 minutes with you because I know the conversation is going to run long, and I enjoy that. I appreciate it, and I'm not getting out of here without thanking all the people who comment, all the people who download, all the people who watch, and all the people who support financially this endeavor called DoomCast. Those numbers are growing, and Doug and I are brainstorming all the time on trying to figure out ways on how to encourage this support, because it is going to cause this program to expand and this DoomCast or this podcast to expand, but also to reward the people that are taking ownership of this program along with us.
And that's why if you give us a financial contribution, even if you're a business, you can support the show. We are going to credit every person and every organization that supports DoomCast, and that's why we've built the hub. That's why we've upgraded the site, because we need to be able to give those credits where credit is due and give the value back to those people that support us. So it's not just about the podcast; it's about also enriching and supporting the people that support us as well. And that's That's the trick. It's really easy just to beg for donations and say, look, if you don't give us money, we're not going to do this thing anymore. But it's a little bit more tricky, so we're trying to be creative. And, if you have your thoughts, your ideas, you can text them to us, 512-222-3067. You can tweet them at Wide Awake News. That's Charlie's handle on Twitter. Mine is at BLN Radio. The handle for this show, DoomCast Show, and DoomCast.com. Charlie McGrath?
Yeah.
We got anything else?
Yeah, I want to. Do you think anybody is sitting here? I don't know how long we're into it because my internet kicked out, but I'm thinking we're about an hour or so or such into it. Do you think anybody is still thinking, what the hell was McGrath doing at the beginning with his pretending the phone was cutting out type of thing? Should we explain that a little bit, or should we just let that go?
No, just let it go. Just
right
consider it constructive.
Asked and answered, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Boom.
Boom. Booyah. My name is Charlie McGrath. My website is wideawakenews.com. My co-founder is Doug Owen. His website is blacklistednews.com. This is DoomCast. You can follow us on the DoomCast Show on Twitter. DoomCast.com, absolutely intuitive, interactive site. Get over there, check it out. We will be back next week with DoomCast number 37. Everybody have a great week. We will talk to you then. Peace out, y'all.